Hello and welcome. Thank you for your time. Nothing I say in this video will feel unfamiliar. However, as a saying goes, it's 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. And this is where I help. I bring perspiration to the process. My hope is that by the end of this video, you are motivated to schedule a call. Let's take a moment and dip into what your world might look like. You're scared and afraid of losing credibility at a critical moment with critical audiences. Closing deadlines are looming. Board packages, management reports, lender updates, investor communication. Delivery feels uncertain. You're in the middle of a scramble and the clock is not your friend. So, how does this happen? If you wait until the work is nearly done to ask who owns what, who is responsible for each open item, each unresolved point in the process, every question that still needs an answer, you're inviting last minute pressure, and you'll get it. A solid foundation supports a disciplined process. Too often, the things that matter, the non routine entries, the complex transactions, get treated as things someone else will eventually get to. Let's start where we can agree. A solid financial reporting foundation needs a solid process supported by appropriate tools. We're not going to identify the latest and greatest AI-enabled add-ons in this short video because they will probably have changed by the time you're watching this. A quick trip through an accounting social media thread will reveal that the seemingly mundane world of accounting is changing at a dizzying pace, leaving businesses of all sizes struggling to figure out the best path forward. Whether you feel it or not, the pressure is on to keep up or risk playing catch up. Keeping up is something we can discuss. I'm Kenneth Brimmer Company, offering a range of fractional CFO services tailored to meet your needs. I work with companies at every stage, businesses struggling to manage a monthly close, companies preparing for a capital raise or an exit, and finance teams that need a cleaner reporting structure, real discipline, and accountability before critical deadlines are missed. In my more than 40 years of financial work as a statement preparer, a presenter, and as the person sitting on the other side of the table, this is often what I see. The accounting team does exactly what it was trained to do, and I'm sure all the debits equal all the credits, and your trial balance is in balance. And as I like to say, the trees seem fine, but too often the forest is on fire. When deliverables aren't ready, when the open items, the non recurring transactions, the one offs don't have a clear owner and a clear resolution process, the accounting area can start looking like a black hole. Here's a situation many companies have faced, just to give you an example. A business needs capital, and to meet the needs, enters into a sale leaseback transaction. Leasing is not its core business, but the deal makes financial sense, so management moves forward. Now the accounting team has to record what management did and be sure it makes all the required disclosures. Under ASC 842, a sale leaseback transaction creates a right of use asset and a present value lease liability. Some teams may be only vaguely familiar with the reporting requirements. So, what happens next? Unfortunately, what may happen next is no one raises the issue directly. No one wants to admit that they are unsure how to handle the transaction. The first draft of the financials go out and the item is still incomplete, unresolved on the balance sheet, and missing the required footnotes. As the deadline approaches, the questions start. Who owns this? When is it getting done? Why wasn't this escalated earlier? Where are the auditors? You are now in reaction mode. The review process often leads to late adjustments, creating pressure, confusion, and avoidable risk, and often errors that don't get caught. The stress did not come from lack of effort. The stress came from poor communication and unclear accountability, which delayed the work. Here's a simple reframe. If an item matters for financial reporting prepared in a GAAP compliance form with appropriate disclosures, it needs 5 things. Not one thing, not 2, 5. You can build this process early, even as the details are still moving. The 5 steps. Step 1, the easy step. Identify non-routine transactions early. As simple as it sounds, this is often not done. Before the accounting period, ask, what are the non-routine transactions this period? This, in fact, should be done monthly. Don't wait for the quarter end. The critical items are easy to identify. What will the auditors, lenders, or stakeholders ask about? What items carry uncertainty? The things that the team might be tempted to set aside and come back to. If it's non-routine, it needs to be understood, vetted, and properly accounted for, and it needs a name on it. Step 2, assign an owner. Every open item needs one clear person responsible for managing it. Not a department, not the accounting team, not the catch-all. We're working on it. One person with their name on it. If 3 people own something, nobody owns it. Step 3, build the framework and the process before the close. As I said, this should be done monthly. Every item needs a specific due date and a clear, detailed next move. Something specific enough that anyone can look at it and know exactly what has to happen. Not soon, not by the end of the week, not before the deadline, a real date, a real next step. For example, send the lease schedule to the auditor by Tuesday at noon. Finalize the right of use asset reconciliation. Review the disclosure language with legal. Escalate to leadership. The decision needs to be made by a specific date. You don't need to close the books to be finished with the financials and to build this process. Start early, fill in the details as they land. In our example, this work could begin while the lease is still being negotiated, with final numbers added when the deal is done. This step keeps the team from staring at a blank page at the worst possible moment. Step 4, be sure to align the narrative with the books. The financial statements numerically say what happened. The narrative, which is an important part, needs to explain why it happened. And those two things must square with each other and must be recorded in accordance with GAAP. When they don't, the review becomes a back and forth nobody budgeted time for, and the closer you get to the deadline, the more costly the volley of edits becomes. The final step, step 5, label risk levels and set escalation triggers. This is the part most teams miss. Not every item is critical. Label them low risk, moderate risk, high risk. Decide ahead of time at what point does this item get escalated. Is the item open? If the auditors haven't reported by noon, call and find out. If the adjustment crosses a certain threshold amount, figure out if it's above the materiality threshold. Escalation should not be emotional or reactive. It should be built into the process, a pre-agreed trigger, not a last-minute judgment call made under pressure. When every open item has an owner, a deadline, and a detailed series of next steps before you even see the numbers, a risk level, and an escalation trigger, the critical deadlines are met and the closing process feels completely different. Less guessing because ownership is explicit. Less chasing because the next steps are already defined. Less last-minute panic. Financial statement is driving the process, not reacting to the audiences. Conversations with leadership, leaders, auditors, and stakeholders all have an air of confident clarity. In my next video, I'll share a simple closing ownership map template you can use to organize open items before they become deadline problems. If you think a second set of eyes on your process could make things feel more efficient, whether you're managing a monthly close or preparing for a capital raise or an ownership transition, or just want a clear picture of where the risk is, I am prepared to meet you where you're at and explore a range of solutions from the detail of bookkeeping to just a simple high-level review. If you want to explore what this might look like, you can schedule a confidential strategy call at brimmercompany.com. I'm Kenneth Brimmer. Let's talk. Thanks for watching.